Hey guys, Mayflom here, and what I've got a spooky frame that I picked up at the craft store, and I don't like it. Oh, no, let me take this back. I love it. I think it's really cool, but I don't want it to be white and brown. I want to recolor it. So, I've got some acrylic paint here that I am just dumping on, and this is an old nasty craft mat I'm working on. One I keep under the desk for nasty, messy projects. And all I'm going to do is just coat. I'm not going to worry if it's perfect, but I'm going to do my best to really coat all the nooks and crannies of this piece with the black craft paint. Once I've got it all on there, I'm going to take a paper towel and just try to make sure, combination of paper towel and brush. I don't want any big pools of paint to be building up anywhere. So I'm just going to, if I see any, I'm going to try to brush them out, but I'm also going to press this paper towel here and there and just let some of the higher white areas, let them be seen. And again, I'm getting any excess paint that I have. I don't have a lot. I'm being really super picky here, but I don't want to have any heavy pools of paint. I just want this to be covering. And again, I can go back through as many times as I need and just kind of blot off some excess as well. And once this is done and dry, we need to let it dry totally, then we can get some colors out. I think the frame is all the way dry now. Once I used a matte finish paint, so once it's dry, it is no longer shiny, which is really nice because it helps me see, oh, like there's some wet. You can see how it's a little bit shiny here on the back because it's still a little bit wet. Anyhow, a little bit on the back is fine. What I want to do now is start coloring it. You can see it already looks totally different and really cool, but I want to add some color. So what I'm going to do is take some distress crayons. You could use some paints, you could use a lot of different things. I want this to have some color, so let's see. This one is Rusty Hinge that I've got here. I'm just going to put it around here and there. And then you can grab a paintbrush or you can grab a water brush, whatever your preference is. I'm just going to get the water brush started because I want to just give it a squeeze and get a little water going. I'm just using my hand here so that I don't have unexpected water anywhere else. And then I'm just going to spread that color. And what we're going to notice is that it's going to color, obviously on the white areas a little more than on the painted, but the distress crayons, they will actually color on the black paint as well. So I'm just going to go in here. Let's see, what did I say? We had Rusty Hinge. So I've got a little of that going. And it will blend and play with other colors too, which I think is really cool. And I've got peeled paint. So this particular set, well, it's got a number on there. That's not going to help you. But there's different sets, okay? So there's like, here's a really bright one. Here's a pastel set. There's different sets that you can play with. There's also, and I'm going to get into this one as well. This one's all the browns and grays and such. I'm going to get into some of the grays and play with that. What I like to do though is just kind of on the smooth areas here. I'm gonna rub that color, and it's forgiving too, guys. You don't have to worry about, oh, I didn't get it just right. Don't worry about it. And then go ahead and flood with water, and you can see why this was important that everything was dry. If the paint wasn't dry, it'd be reacting right now, and I would not want that. So I'm just gonna come in here. I'm just gonna repeat this exactly what you see. I've got the peel paint and the Rusty Hinge, and I'm gonna keep adding with color. I'm gonna do some blue and also some fossilized amber in here. And you can see how I just scraped a whole bunch right here on this leg. You can do that where you just scrape a whole bunch and then move it around. And guys, don't worry about like I'm getting like some foamy bubbles because I'm putting a bunch of water and really like I'm making distress crayon soup over here. Don't worry if you get bubbles, they'll go away as it dries. And that's really just about me and the style, the way that I'm like squeezing the water out and stuff. That's just me doing that. Don't worry about it though. Just keep going around and getting some color detail here. Remember, we're working in layers, so don't get obsessed with like, oh, it's not just perfect. But once you're happy, and actually guys, I think I'm going to move on to the neutrals already. I'm going to go with Hickory Smoke here. I'm just going to try a couple of different things here. Try a little color here and there. What I love about these though is you get that, like, you get a good amount of body. You can get like a scraping and have like a hunk of color if you want it. If you don't want it, you don't have to, but it's there if you want it. And I love doing that. So check this out. Just gonna go in here with hickory smoke, and if there's, yeah, there was a big chunk there, so I'm just letting it. And yes, I'm the one making the bubbles because it's almost empty, so I'm like squeezing air as well as water out of there. Just gonna go around, and then I'm gonna let this layer totally dry. I'm gonna let everything really dry. If you want to add even more water and your water brush is dry, so squirt some water on it. Don't worry about it. And I'm not worried about the back. That'll be fine. So I could add even more if I wanted to really get in there and blend even more color and such. I'm gonna go in here, last color, the nice dark blue. And yes, you can totally do this wet, dry. Do whatever works for you guys. Have some fun with it. And we could also go in here with our fingers if you're so inclined and really just make a nice mess. Oh, I love it. There's all that fun detail and color going on. Oh my goodness, I'm loving this. Now the hard part, always, let this totally dry. Now that this is dry, there's one more step I want to take, and that is that I want to use some crazing medium. This particular one is from Ranger. If you have a different brand, it may work. I like this one. I've actually got a brand new jar of it here. So this crazing medium, the way we want to apply this, we want to be generous, but we don't want to make like huge puddles, okay? And I know that that's actually going to be kind of hard because of all the nooks and crannies. And I also want to be pretty quick about it. I don't want to sit here and keep applying. Couple reasons, mostly because distress crayons are moisture reactive is the way that I describe them, which means that if I sit here and rub, the colors are going to keep blending, and I don't want colors to keep blending. I want everything to be the way it is right now. So by being quick about it, it's not going to make everything blend a ton. Now, I'm not going to worry if there are a few spots where it's a little bit thick, but if I see really, really substantial lumps of medium, I'm going to try to pull them out a little bit. And this is going to dry. It's getting to be evening, so I'm going to let this dry overnight, and we will take a look at it in the morning and see how it looks. All right, guys, here we are the next morning, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see on the video, but it really did crack a whole bunch. There's a lot of little spots where there's cool little cracks and breaks, but it's not super obvious from a distance. Up here in this corner, there's some really good ones all. Hopefully you guys can see up there. It's hard to tell because of the, you know, when I turn it for you to see it, shines and glare, but all up in here there's a bunch of really good ones. It's all over really. Some of it's more fine, some of it isn't. Here's the deal with this kind of a project. Because there was already all that texture on the base, it's not going to be as dramatic as a smooth base, but that's okay because it's adding a little bit more funk. And the other thing it does is that acts as a sealant. So now if I come in, let's see if I trust it. If I come in with a water brush now, it's just clear. I'm not getting any reaction because everything is coated. Okay, so that acted as a sealant. So it did two things. It added a few little cracks, but more importantly, it was, I would call it a semi-gloss. It has a little bit of gloss to it here and there, but it's not 100% matte finish. But it's more on the matte side versus glossy. So if you wanted it to be glossy finish, take some glossy gel medium. You could always thin it out with water if it's too thick and apply it over to something like this. Hope you guys have liked watching the transformation. I think this is way spookier and way cooler now how I have it versus how it was to start with. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment, and I will see you next time.